Hello and welcome to this edition of Ritter's Rant. Today we're going to be talking about the Old Testament, about the book of Hosea, chapter 8, verse 7. They that sow the wind shall reap the whirlwind. Now, this is the totality of the biblical reference. I just wanted to plant this idea in your heads. They that sow the wind shall reap the whirlwind. What is the perspective I'm trying to put here? Well, it's in the context of a conversation that the German defense minister, Boris Pistorius, had with Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, in which they discussed Germany's acquisition of what is known as the Typhoon weapon system. The Typhoon is it's a missile launch system. It enables two different kinds of missiles to be fired. One is the SM-6 missile, which is the standard missile. Six. It's a advanced version of the standard missile. The SM-3 is the primary surface-to-air missile or anti-ballistic missile system used by the United States Navy on board the various Aegis class ships. And it also can use the Tomahawk missile, which is a cruise missile with a range around 2,200 miles. Both can be fired from the same quad pod that the Typhoon system uses. The SM-6 can also be configured for a surface-to-surface missile role. It's not just something that can be used to shoot down missiles, shoot down aircraft, but it can also be used to interdict targets, mobile targets, et cetera. And then the cruise missile, the Tomahawk, is just basically a long-range strike system. We saw the United States recently fire 38 Tomahawks against Iranian targets in and around the city of Isfahan during the final phases of the 12-day war between Israel, the United States, and Iran. Now, this is a strategic system that's just only been initially deployed with the United States. The United States has deployed this on exercises in Europe and has deployed it on exercises in the Pacific. Russia has cited the decision by the United States to deploy the Typhoon system into Europe for these exercises as an excuse to begin production of intermediate range missiles. Russia had put a moratorium on producing intermediate range systems, even though the United States had withdrawn from the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty back in 2018. Russia said they will abide by it so long as the United States doesn't deploy systems into Europe. Well, we did. We sent it to Denmark for a training, and the Russians said, okay, we're going to move forward. But then the U.S. withdrew that, and there was hope that maybe there could be a continuation of this moratorium. But that hope now is faded because Germany is now talking about buying this system. And why? Why would Germany want to have the Typhoon system? What threat could possibly exist in the minds of German politicians that would necessitate the use of the Tomahawk missile? And there's only one answer: Russia. We have seen a lot of irresponsible rhetoric coming out of Germany recently about Russia. We have Boris Pistorius, the same defense minister, talking about the absolute need now to bring back conscription because Germany needs to massively expand the size of its military to fight Russia. Germany's talking about empowering the Ukrainians to strike deep into Russia. Germany says that Russia is the threat. There are uniformed German generals on German television talking about basically this time we're going to get it right when it comes to Russia. What do you mean get it right? One would hope that the Germans are extraordinarily apologetic about the mistakes they made during the Third Reich, the time of Nazi Germany, and that the June 22nd, 1941 invasion of the Soviet Union by the Wehrmacht is not seen as a mistake because they lost, but rather a mistake because they began it to begin with. But this time it appears that the Germans don't have any remorse over what they did to the Russians, what they did to the Soviet Union. The only remorse is that they didn't win, that they lost. This time, they want to do it right. The Russians are paying notice. We hear the uh, Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson of the Kremlin, say that Germany is becoming an enemy again, becoming an enemy again. The Germans don't want to be the enemy of Russia. The enemy of Russia never finishes victorious. It's not a happy ending. But this is the direction that Germany's going. But it was an inevitable direction. This was predictable. I've been talking about this for some time now. I mean, I get in trouble a lot because I say things like, scratch a German, get a Nazi. And people say, you can't say that. And I absolutely can say that. And I will say that. And I will continue to say that. You know, back in 1943 at the Montreal Conference, Franklin Roosevelt met with Winston Churchill to talk about the future of Germany once the war ended. By then, it was conceded, or at least it was accepted by both sides that Germany was going to lose the war, and that there would not be conditional surrender. It means that unconditionally surrendered, and the West is responsible. The victors are responsible for deciding, what Germany will look like. And Winston Churchill said, we need to deny Germany all industry, because industry is at the heart of what is driving this tendency of Germany to become a dominant power in Europe. Industry combined with nationalism, combined with militarism. But if you eliminate the industry, the nationalism, the militarism can't manifest itself. So his goal was to deindustrialize Germany, to make it an agrarian nation. Franklin Roosevelt went a little step further. He said, no, it's not enough just to make them an agrarian nation. The only way you solve the German problem is to castrate the German men, meaning that the fact that Germans will procreate, the Germans will continue to create Germans, points out that the future is at risk, not because of industrialism, but because of the Germans themselves. They are incompatible with notions of modern civility, modern peaceful coexistence. The German people are an inherently warlike people that view themselves as a superior race. This isn't something that's simply about, Adolf Hitler and Aryan supremacy. This is a German problem of German supremacy, Germany's rightful place in the world. It began with, Bismarck and the Prussians, and it carried on to Adolf Hitler, and now it's manifested itself today. The Fourth Reich. The Fourth Reich is alive and well and breathing in Germany today. People that don't feel ashamed about what happened during the Third Reich, other than the fact that they lost, that they got beat. But this time, they're going to do it right. No, Roosevelt said you have to castrate them. And indeed, Henry Morgenthau, his Secretary of Treasury, put forward a plan, the Morgenthau Plan, which was supposed to break Germany up into small pieces, deindustrialize it, and then basically stand by while Germany depopulated, starved to death, or just wasn't able to sustain the population through the inability to procreate. But the bottom line was to significantly shrink Germany, to fracture it, to disembowel it, to disenfranchise it, to make it a nothing in the middle of Europe. But that didn't happen, because when the Second World War ended, almost immediately the United States and Great Britain transitioned into an anti-Soviet posture. And we saw from the very start, people like William Donovan, the head of the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA, began whitewashing the reputation of the German military, the German generals. They weren't Nazis, apparently. They were just good Germans who got caught up in this Nazi thing, but don't blame them. And this wasn't just about cleaning the reputation, but the purpose behind cleaning the reputation was so that they could take these millions of Germans who were in uniform, trained to fight the Soviets, and remobilize them against the Soviet threat. And this is what happened in 1955. After being cleansed, after having their reputations restored, the Nazi Germans of the Wehrmacht became the heart and soul of what became known as the Bundeswehr, the German army for West Germany, led by Nazi generals, staffed by Nazi NCOs. It never ended. The Third Reich never ended. And you know what else never ended? The industrialists, the ones that Winston Churchill and Roosevelt rightfully said, these are the problem. No, they never ended. Krupp Steel, Rheinmetall, Porsche, Mercedes, all of these industries, which today we say are the proof positive of efficient German construction and manufacturing, they are war-based industries that promote German nationalism and German militarism. Rheinmetall is at the heart of the current push of German militarism, anti-Russian German militarism. No, scratch a German, get a Nazi. The Germans aren't apologetic about their Nazi past today. The only remorse they have is that they didn't win. But this time they're going to do it right. Brings us back to Hosea chapter 8, verse 7. Sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. Basically, if you sow this problem, you sow the turmoil, you will pay the price. And the Germans need to know and understand the following. If they seek a conflict with Russia, they will have a conflict with Russia, but it won't end the way they think it will. It'll end with the total destruction of Germany. And this time, I think the Russians will get it done right. That's been my rant. Thanks for listening. Next time a thought crosses my mind, I'll let you know.